Peace. This is Intelligent, the rap Griot.
Yes, and go by the name of Beez, Rich Mode Music. Let's get it.
That's right. We're bringing you 50 Plus, the only platform, the only podcast, the only show that's catered towards people who come from a background of 50 plus, meaning you have a certain level of experience in hip hop, you come from a certain era, that golden era, and you pay homage and respect those who came before you.
And, like I said, man, this being 50 plus show, we're going to get into some great things today, man. And we want y'all to, just take an ear, listen. And, we're going to make this thing work and take it as far as it can go, man, because it's about time to get an ear. That, you know what I'm saying? The 50 plus definitely need an ear. So what's your, give them a little bit of your background, man.
Yeah, man. So my background, I just turned 50, so I'm part of that 50 plus committee,
That's right.
So I grew up, man. My first album I could remember was my brother Unique, who's 5 years older than me, had Criminal Minded. This was back in like 88, 89, I think. I think it was 8.
No, Criminal Minded probably was, Criminal Minded probably was like...
But that's my first album, man. I always remember KRS, Scott LaRock on that cover. They had the bullet belts. I think they had shotgun bullets on the belt. And I remember, that the song that stood out with me was that wah da 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 dang, wah da 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 dang. Hey, listen to my nod on me to go bang. And yeah, man, so I fell in love with hip hop, man, back then. I went through my phases, rapping, trying to get on, battling people. And then, here I am, I came years later, started the platform Rap Griot, which a lot of you may know us by, where we help preserve the culture by telling authentic stories, little small docu style videos, and then just, building on the culture, man. So yeah, that's my thing, man. Just how can I contribute to this thing that I love called hip hop?
Yeah, and I'm actually proud of myself, man, for the work that I put in. Some people know me, a lot of people don't know me. I started my journey into this hip hop early, same as with you, you know what I mean? But I'm 55, so my first album that I got was or the first artist was Run DMC, the whole King of Rock, all that, you know what I mean? Suck MC's 30 Days. Yeah, Suck MC's in 30 Days was on the same tape, if I'm not mistaken, A side and the B side. My brother was brought that around me and he 5 years older than me, so he put me onto that. Then later on, yes, that Criminal Minded album, that was what sparked the light inside of me to want to rhyme. And then EPMD, when they came with Strictly Business, that solidified it for me. You know what I mean? Me being in junior high school, being in high school at that time, I think 8th or 9th grade at that particular time. But later on, them being my idols, and actually P&E was the people that really just like emerged me into hip hop.
Yeah.
And specifically P, just being honest, was his cadence, his style, his voice. That's, I kind of pattern my writing after him. As a lot of us do when you MCs. You starting off. So 94, I end up meeting him. You know what I mean? Meeting PMD. It was like a dream come true. It's like a young artist right now what to meet who love Drake or Kendrick, and they run into Kendrick or Drake, and then not only do they run into him, but Kendrick or Drake be like, yo, man, I love what you're doing so much. I'm gonna take you with me. You know what I mean? So that's what happened with me and P. I end up moving into the crib with him, meeting Daz Effects, pretty much at they inclination, and cementing myself right then. It let me know that this was what I was supposed to be doing in my life. Then maybe about 10 years later, when I hit 32, I signed a major record deal with Universal Records. Kevin Law, Scott Storch was the producer of my album. He was at the height of his career. We went in the studio. I did a rec. My group was called 216 for the area code of Cleveland. Me and my partner, Train Fontaine, end up doing records with Fab.
Cleveland, what's going on? 216, real talk, New York, man. Street fan. Yo, I'm watching them run their mouth.
Fat Joe.
216, I heard they shit.
Yeah.
This ain't, you know what I mean? I be charging niggas 150,000 a verse. This shit is straight love right here.
Sleepy Brown, Ice-T.
Okay, this is to 216. The hustlers, international players from all around the world. Get their money, have money. Good luck.
I've been popping down P since I was 22 years old.
Just to name a few. and went on a 25 city promo tour with Akon when he had the Locked Up record.
This right here is my family, dog. We grinded from day one in the excursion, like 25 cities.
Out, wrote on the soundtrack the movie The Longest Yard with Nelly, Adam Sandler, and Chris Rock. And at that time I got caught up into some legal situation on the label to where as though we didn't end up coming out after running up a bill of $867,000, man. And then, especially with Scott Storch at that time being the hottest. And, you learn a lot of things at that moment. But here I am, 30 to 20 plus years later. And, I own my own vegan lounge down here in the city of Atlanta or, Fairburn. It's called Unbelieve Again. The only vegan lounge upscale here in state of Georgia. So, brother still doing his thing, put it down. And hey, we here, 50 plus show. You know what I mean? I'm excited about it, and let's get into some talk. So one of the things that we wanted to speak about was the authenticity of hip hop and the perspective on rappers that are approaching that age of 50, or let's say 50 plus. Let's just keep it at 50 plus, and the relevancy that they may still have in this genre of music called hip hop, because this whole separation of state, so to the degree I speak on it, whereas though the youth and the older and the elder, they want to separate it so much, and I pretty much want to stop saying they. It's us. We're doing this. You know what I mean? We're doing this to ourselves. But I can say, in the era that we grew up, we didn't do that. When I was in my 20s, we didn't talk about Grandmaster Flash or African Bambatas or the Treacherous Three. We didn't look down on them brothers. At that time, hip hop was still in its birthing stage. We were still an adolescent stage. 10, 12, 13 years in, fully being born, not even fully becoming a man yet in this thing. So we didn't look down. When we was in the 90s, we didn't look down on the artists that was in the 80s or the 70s. We saluted them, and they were still relevant, quote unquote, and we lifted them up. Now it's a thing of where as though it's a talk about, well, you too old, or you too old to rap. When we hear these stories about legendary rock artists, they still touring. You don't hear the younger rock bands talking about Led Zeppelin or Kiss or any of them brothers and telling them that they too old or this, that, and the third. So we need to, that's what this show is about. We're gonna bridge that gap and respect the youth. We love the youth, man. You know what I mean? Shout outs to all of the up and coming MCs and rap artists that's doing their thing. We love that, you know what I mean, and love that about them, and we're gonna continue to support them. We just want that same reciprocation when it comes down to the people who fathered this and birthed this and mothered this. All the women MCs, the men MCs, we birthed hip hop. It's only 50 years celebrated. So you can't remove the parents. You cannot remove the parents of this thing. So that's what I was in my outlook of this show. I was thinking like, yeah, we got to really cement and break that stereotype, or actually not even stereotype, break that talk about separation, man, and keeping it together and unified as one,
Yeah, most definitely, man. I think it's imperative that we not only highlight people that came before us, but we also, it's our job to show the relevance between those who came before and those that exist now. A lot of times we're so caught up in what we feel is our uniqueness that we bring to the game, when I'm speaking for people as artists, that we often forget that we're doing this on the backs of other people. Like you spoke about, when you first started rapping, you came in the game, you kind of mimic what you saw. When I started rapping, I was listening to Kool G rap. So I kind of mimicked Kool G rap. But then, we can't go 10 years down and we still rapping and we at the height of our careers, and then we forget Kool G rap.
Right.
So we got to always remember that we standing on the backs of greats, and we standing on the legacy of giants. Same thing with us as Black folks, man. We got to always remember those who paved the way for us to get to where we at. And that's what the show is about, man. Just, highlighting people. Also, we're going to have younger people on here giving their perspectives. We're going to have some familiar faces, some not familiar. It's not going to be just about us, but we just want to bring these conversations that are relevant and also foster some community within this thing we call hip hop community.
Well, speaking of that word relevant, let's jump into it, man. Like, so what's relevant right now and what's the topic going on? Did you get to see Max B on Wallow and Gilly show. You know what I mean? And since we use the word relevant, and him speaking about Big Daddy Kane and him saying that Big Daddy Kane is not relevant. What did you think about that?
Yeah, so often when it comes to these conversations about who's relevant, who's the greatest rapper, I think the problem is we don't define the metrics by which we're using to gauge these things. So, we can't have actions without knowledge, you're going to have an error every time. So I think part of the issue was his debate was it wasn't fully fleshed out into terms of what's considered a run, because that's what they were saying.
Yeah, right.
That Gilly said, no, excuse me, not Gilly, Wallow said that Big Daddy Kane been having a run pretty much since he came out.
Well, now to cut you first, French was saying artists only have like a 1 year, some will have a 1 year run or a 2 year run and 3 year run. And then that's what made Wallow be like, well, shit, you got artists like Kane, 30 years in running.
Yeah. So I'll get to the Gilly, the Wallow part secondary, but what's ironic is I don't feel Max B ever really had a run. I think, he came in and he had a splash, he caught away.
Right. You caught away. No diss to you, Max B. Love you, brother.
And there's nothing wrong with that, man, but to me, a run is somebody that has some consistency. Sometimes you may have a 1 year run, you may have a 6-month run, but you got to be able to be at a level to where you really making noise within the game. So, so to say that, I don't think per se that Kane obviously wasn't killing it, the whole 30 plus years he been in the game, right?
Right.
But I do feel that he's always had a space within the game, be it doing shows, be it being on the charts, be it being on the music videos, be it him working with newer artists. Because Kane, man, is just as recently as, is years. I don't want to say last year, but some, within these years that you would think is not his era, Kane was doing songs with artists that are relevant and he sounded good.
Right.
So, but the fact that he can have shows, I looked online on his website, I think it's official Big Daddy Kane or something like that. He had like 5 or 6 shows billed for between May and June. So Kane, obviously, if somebody's coming out spending money on these tickets, he has some level of relevance. So that takes us to what I was talking about. We have to have some metrics by which to gauge what is relevant. It's not just sales. It's not just streams. There are other things. So obviously, when he says he's going to a show and people show up, he's relevant to somebody.
Right. And then like I said, when you look up the definition of the word relevant, because we need to know, when we say words, we need to know what it is that we're actually saying so people can have an understanding of what it is. So it says relevant, being closely connected or pertinent to the matter at hand. Being closely connected or pertinent to the matter at hand. Well, the matter at hand is hip hop. So is Kane connected closely to hip hop? Of course he is. You know what I mean? Even to this day. So to say he's not relevant is not only an understatement. You know what I mean? It's just a flat out lie. You know what I mean? So we have to be careful. Words have power. We all know that, and so we understanding that the word relevance is just simply being closely connected to the matter at hand. So of course he's relevant. And if that be the case, because I got like my mindset of it would be for any of the youth that's in there, 18 to 23, 24. That are artists, they're gonna look at Max B as an old head.
Actually, fact.
You know what I mean? They'll say Max B is not. If I go speak with any of my nephews or any of my, youngins that I deal with at 18, I'm say Max B, they'll be like, who? They don't know nothing about Max B. You know what I'm saying? So Max B is relevant to hip hop and he's close, but he's more closely connected to people our age, 40 and up. Anybody 30 and less, they don't ride around like that listening to Max B like that because he did 18 years in prison. So you disconnected yourself from hip hop for 18 joints. So to come back and say that somebody who was still getting it in, doing shows and everything, Kane, is not relevant, and you was gone 18 years, and all those 18 years, Kane was still putting it in with the culture of hip hop, and for you to come back and you got your way back, and God bless that. Shout out to you, you know what I mean, and shout out to French, you know what I mean, because without French, we don't know if Max B would be because you came here relevant because you came straight out with a persuasion handed to you by your man's French Montana. And shout out to French Montana. You owe that man a lot. You owe that man a lot because if there was no French Montana when you walked out of there, bruh, you know, that it'll be over, man. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion. So he has to be careful with stating things like that. And, you know, about somebody who is as impactful, was as impactful when he first came in. Like you said, we talked about how he changed the trajectory of rhyme cadence, Big Daddy Kane. Abuse or lose, you know, how he just started, you know, putting different words together. And that's when hip hop was, you know, important like that, far as the foundation of the MCing and us understanding the 5 elements is what keep this thing going. So we got to be careful, you know, Max B and any of these brothers, you know, we got to be careful when we say things like that, because you'll become Big Daddy Kane soon. And you know, another person who learned about that fast was Game. When Game was coming out, he was getting that Jay-Z. He spoke about it on the interview before, how he was getting that Jay-Z. Jay-Z was 37. I think he was 27 at the time. He called him old, flabby, and sick. He used that Larry Holmes thing in the One Blood a song. I think of the line in there, he said it. But now, Game, you're Jay-Z now. But you still want to show everybody he's going on the LA Leakers a podcast show and busting freestyle. You still want to let everybody know you got it. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter about your age. It's about your talent and your gift and you being able to sharpen your skills and keeping them relevant.
Yeah. You know, one thing too also, I think a lot of times what we do in hip hop and what Max B is doing, I believe he's looking at the relevance to a specific thing, right? Like we'll say like, and I got to catch myself sometimes, like, right? What's the young kid that was doing all the crazy show, did the crazy show tours, did like 70 mil in the tour from out of Louisiana. Damn, what's his name, man?
From Louisiana?
NBA Youngboy.
NBA Youngboy.
Youngboy, right? I don't listen to NBA Youngboy, but who am I to say he's not relevant, right?
Right.
But the thing is, hip hop is so diverse and there's so many aspects to it. We have to keep in mind that you can be relevant within a certain aspect of hip hop, which is still relevant to hip hop. Doesn't mean that everybody within hip hop is going to gravitate to your music or buy it or come out to see you at shows, but you can have a strong following within one of these spaces and kill it. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the people that are going to his shows are, you know, probably under 25. Right? But there's a large number of people that are above 25. There's a large number of people that are 50 plus. So each one of these segments are valid, although they may not be as wide or may not have the numbers of the younger buyers of this particular genre. They're still relevant and they're still a part of hip hop. So we got to keep in mind that there are different aspects to hip hop and different ways that people can fit in. And just because you may not be a part of this aspect of hip hop or may not have any knowledge of it,
right,
doesn't make the person, you know, irrelevant.
Right. Especially when you got somebody like Killer Mike, just as recently as 2 to 3 years ago, take home 4 Grammys off of his last album. So that right there should have, you know, hushed or silenced a lot of that talk about, because you got a lot of artists that are in their 20s, they haven't seen a Grammy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not that the Grammy is the end all be all about, you know, far as rather not to solidify you as an artist, but it's the Grammys. You know what I mean? It's almost like you playing basketball to win a championship ring. You in this you want recognition. And you know, when you become an artist, you do want to be recognized for what you do. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's, you know, Grammys or even a Soul Train Music Award if they was giving those out still. But my point is, you know, somebody that is 50 plus in the form of a Killer Mike to be able to take home 4 Grammys lets you know that it's not necessarily a young man's game. This isn't a sport where your bones get aching and this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? That may be a young man's sport, but the older you get, the more wisdom you're supposed to attain, which is, and hip hop has always been a thing from the MC to give back.
Man, Kane, like I said, he was that dude. He wrote the tracks for the women. He had the dudes hyped up, the raw genuine like Gucci, raw like Sushi, Stage Rage is what rap. You know, Kane was that dude, man. And you know, he was fly. He was doing this thing, man. So let's not forget the role that Kane played in the game, man.
And so much of that dude, like you said earlier, you know, Kane put who he deemed as the top three, which was crazy. Max B saying that it was Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, and then him and all the New Yorks. What? But I mean, I don't know what type of you know, he just what you know, I don't even know what to say to that. But anyway, Big Daddy Kane put Jay-Z on just as much. So you got to pay homage to Big Daddy Kane, because the guy that you named as one of the top three, he's got put on by the guy that you know, you saying, you know, you start wilding out on, and then going on to Madonna and the album cover and all that kind of stuff, saying he had a thong on. Yeah, that was, you know, I think French Montana should have, you know, instead of just being, you know, laughing and giggling with him, he should have checked him on that and been like, you know, come on, we ain't gonna do that. You know what I mean? And coming from French, that should have, you know, he should have respected that. But, you know, it is what it is, man. We can leave that one right there, man. We just want to always pay homage to the brothers that paved that way, like, because, like, you know, coming up, we did that. You know what I mean? We pay homage to the artists that came before us in the 90s. We always gave it up to the Grandmaster Flashes, the Melly Males, the Zulu Nations, the Treacherous Three, all of them, man. We gave it up. So that needs to be reciprocated. And I'm not gonna knock it. It's a lot of young artists that definitely love the culture of hip hop, and they love all the artists in the 90s, man. So, you know, we're not gonna make it like a whole, we don't generalize it. We're gonna keep it right there. So, you know, another thing that took place, man, you know, I like what you doing on the Rap Griot with the 50 plus face off, the way you put McGruff and Al Scratch together. And, you know, that's something that we need to do, man, more is showcase and highlight when we see, because now they're giving it up. A lot of podcasts, a lot of shows are bringing on the artists in the 90s and the early 2000s and letting them do their thing, man. And Herb McGruff and his whole Harlem clique, they came out and they ripped it on that Shade 45. Man, what was your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. So yeah, man, for those that don't know, you know, on Rap Griot, that's one of the things we're known for is a face-off, where I take two artists and I pair them up on freestyles. Try to do it with the same beat, but sometimes you can't. But the idea with this was to do a 50-plus version, since we got the whole 50-plus challenge going. If y'all don't know, look online and check us out. But we do got a 50-plus challenge going, where we're looking for artists that are 50 years or older to send us freestyles so we can showcase it. You can check Beez joint on there. But yeah, so I did a version, like you said, with Al Scratch from Illin Al Scratch and McGruff, you know, from Harlem. Dope joint. It looks like the poll that we taken so far is leaning towards McGruff.
Okay.
I don't know who I go for in this. I like them both. What stood out though, I think Al Scratch resonated the most with me, because I remember him from Rio, where my homie. She's real brothers know what time it is. Where my homie? Creeping through the hood. Where my homie? Creeping through the hood. You know, on some fly. Yeah, used to man around our way. You know, we here. Yeah, I remember that. But then, you know, on this joint, he was like, he was spitting that hard.
No flossing a pound, no horsing around. Boss of the town, squeeze, leave your thoughts in the ground, nigga.
You know, I like that hard energy, man. I like dudes just come through on some rugged shit.
Decent.
So he was giving it up. So I think he stood out the most to me, but I can't really say I give it to him over McGruff. I don't know. I got to look back at it. A lot of times I had to keep continuously looking at these joints, you know, but the purpose of the face-off, man, is just to showcase talent. A lot of times people that are not known, or in this case, remind people, you know, that people 50 plus still give it up. But matter of fact, we're about to wrap up. So what we're going to do, this is just part one of our first episode. We want to give y'all a brief intro, let y'all get a feel of how it's going down. But we're going to leave y'all with a clip from the McGruff and Al Scratch face-off. You can catch the whole thing on Instagram. You know, we can't play the whole thing here. They're going to ding us for copyright strike. But we're going to leave y'all with that. But we thank y'all for showing up. And I just want to say again, this is Intelligent, the Rap Griot.
And I go by the name of Beez P, and we need y'all to like, click that bell, and subscribe to the 50 Plus show right here on YouTube, man. And we're about to turn this up. We're going to have some guests on here, familiar faces you know, some that you don't. We're going to open the lane up for the youth, as well as those who still doing their thing at 50 Plus. Check this clip out.
Peace.
Peace.
Yo, whole life been a struggle, but I made it. Fuck being degraded. Told you I'm one of God's favorite. Stepped off the stoop right onto that hard pavement. Remember them days I first started paper chasing?
Let me unfasten my coat. I'm a hazardous smoke. Rappers is jokes. I rap, tap, dance on your throat. Savian Glover, smooth brother, another passionate quote. Unload ratchets on you bastards till the casket is closed.
Rap Griot face off. Who hotter? Comment below.